Hello, welcome to App Designer tutorial of Avni. In this video, we are going to look at how to create a growth monitoring application for a rural creche called Phulwari. The app is used by supervisors to record an anthropometry assessment of every child in creche once a month. A typical workflow would be child registration, followed by enrollment in Phulwari program, followed by monthly anthropometric assessments. To achieve this workflow, we will create a subject type called child, a program called Phulwari, an encounter type called anthropometry assessment in Avni. I will be designing the app using the web console of Avni and testing it using the field app installed in an emulator. Of course, you can test it on an actual Android device as well. So let's start by signing in to the web console. Here in the admin section, I've already mapped the user to a catchment and that to a location. This is required for a user to be able to sync data on the field app. So let's now go to the app designer. We will start designing the application by creating a new subject type called as child. So here I give the name as child and I'll select the type as person. This will give us fields, name, age and gender out of the box. And here I choose the default option of new form for registration form. What this will do is create a blank form for us. Now, after I saved the child subject type, as you can see, it has created a child registration form over here. By clicking on this link will take us to the form designer page of child registration form. Now let's look at what all fields we can have for child registration. Let's say on the page 1 we will have name, age and gender, which as I said will come automatically. On the page 2 we will have birth order, father's name, mother's name and phone number. The phone number will have the validation for 10 digits. On the third page we can capture economic status and property details. So let's start with designing the first page. I'll name the page over here basic details, the question as birth order, data type. These are the different data types provided by Avni. So I choose numeric over here. I save this concept, mark the question as mandatory and press save. Now next I create next question, father's name. Text data type, mandatory. Mother's name, mandatory again. And last question on this field, caretaker's phone number. Data type, numeric. Let's add the validation over here. We can add a simple validation for 10 digits like this. And a description key. Now let's save this. Now let's go to the Android app and log in. This will first download all the new forms and any other changes to the app. Subsequently, it will check and download any new transactional data that would have been synced to the server. Since this is the first time we are using the application and no other user is using it, there would be no transactional data. So the sync is now complete. Here at the bottom, we have an option for register. I'll click on this. So we see the subject type that we just created. When I click on this, this is the form that we have just created. I'll start entering some sample data to test this. So this is the page that we have we just designed. First field is numeric, so this won't allow text to us. Let me enter father's name, mother's name and phone number. So the validation has started to kick in, and like we had given a 10-digit validation, it has allowed me to enter only 10 digits. Click on next, and then we can save this for future use. Now let's go to create the second page. I click on the plus sign here. Second page is about economic status. Economic status. Create a concept called economic status with data type as coded. I'll give the answers over here: APL, PPL, Antyodaya, and save this. Its type would be single select. Mark it as mandatory, and let's try to save it. Now let's add one more field, which is any property. And data type as coded. Let's check what are the answers options. So we have tractor, four-wheeler, two-wheeler, fridge, cycle, generator. Tractor, generator, none. Now since we don't want user to be selecting any other options when none is selected, we can mark this as unique and add another option, let's say other. Now this is going to be multi-select. We mark it as mandatory and save it. Now let's again go back to the app to see if the changes have got reflected. So again, what we will have to do is press on the sync button, which will download all the new changes to the application as well as any other transactional data like I earlier said. Now we'll go to the same individual and access the same form. So here in profile, these are the registration details. When I click on edit, these are the details that we had filled earlier. This is the next page, and yes, we have the next page now. So here this is the single select, and this question has come up as the multi-select like we have designed. Here if I choose none, it does not allow me to select that with another option. Let's say I press next and save this. Now what if we want to have another question that captures when the user chooses other as an option? So we will create one more question over here, which is other property, please specify. Data type will be text. For this to show up, we have to write a very simple rule over here. So here I'll modify this rule. Status builder dot show when value in registration concept name property contains answer concept name other. And let me now save this. Now let's go back to the app again. And sync it. Now let's again access the registration form. Edit. Here we have other, and yes, the question has started opening up. Here we can record any other property, let's say AC. Next and save. So this is how we can write a simple skip logic as well. Now this completes our subject type and registration flow. Now next we will create a program called Phulwari. We associate it with subject type child. Here we've got a color picker. I choose whatever we are getting out of the box. And again, in the enrollment form option, since I don't have a form already created, I choose an option called new form over here. We have rules over here, what shows on the program summary and whether a condition on which to show the enrollment option for this program. But in this tutorial, we will not go into the depth of these rules. For rules, please check out our another tutorial on rules. Now I've created this form called Phulwari, program called Phulwari. And now let's create the enrollment form for this program. So in the enrollment, we have two fields over here, Phulwari and day of month for growth monitoring visit. So let me create the first question, which is Phulwari, with some options over here. Phulwari, data type coded, let's say school Tola, let's say Bega Tola. Single select question and mandatory. So let me give a name to the group, and let's just add another question as well, which is called day of month for growth monitoring visit. Data type is numeric, and since we have a condition over here that this day of month should be between 15 to 30, we have some out of the box validations available here for numeric data type. So we will use those validations for this purpose. So let's say the low absolute here is 15 and high absolute is 30. Let me save this and again mark it as mandatory and save. So here now we've created a program called Phulwari and an enrollment form. Let's go to our emulator and test this out. So here I've pressed the sync button again, which downloads all the new metadata or any new data from the server. Okay, so sync is complete. Let's go back to the child that we had registered previously, and when on the individual dashboard of this child, let's see if we have an option. Yeah, so we have an option over here to enroll the child in Phulwari program. If you notice, this is the color that had got automatically selected over there. You have a choice to customize this color. So here now I choose Phulwari, and then I choose, let's say 17 is the day of month for growth monitoring visit. Let's say next, and then I say save. So yeah, now the child is enrolled into the Phulwari program. So this is how you can create programs and enrollment form for on any subject type. Now we will create the anthropometric assessment form to be captured in the program Phulwari. For that, we'll create a new encounter type called as anthropometry assessment. We'll associate it with the child subject type with the Phulwari program, and we choose the option of creating new forms. Save this. We'll go to the anthropometric assessment encounter form, and let's see what are the fields in the Phulwari growth form. So here we would have first the question whether you want to capture height. Next, based on whether the user has chosen yes or no, we will hide or show the question height, and next we will have the user capturing weight. So let me create the first question, whether to capture height, whether to capture height. That's coded type with answers yes and no. We'll save this, make it a single select and mandatory. Now next we will create a question for height. Data type numeric and unit as centimeter, mandatory. And this will have a skip logic to hide or show based on the previous question. So we'll modify the sample rule over here. Status builder dot show when value in encounter whether to capture height contains answer concept name yes. And let me just save this. Now we'll add one more concept question for weight. Data type numeric. Save it and mark it as mandatory. So now we've created the form as per specification. Let's go back to the app. We will press the sync button again to download our new changes. The sync is complete now. Let's go back to our individual and program enrollment. Here in the new program visit, we'll see this option now, anthropometry assessment. Clicking on which it will take us to the form that we just created for the assessment. And here, as you see, the first question is whether to capture height, and based on yes or no, this question shows up over here. And this is how we can save the anthropometry assessment form. Now let's say if on the completion of anthropometry assessment form, we wanted to have another form scheduled to be done for the next month, we can write a simple visit scheduling logic over here, for which I had written the code previously. I'll just copy paste that. and save this. Now we'll go back to the app again, sync. Sync is complete. And now let's go to the anthropometry assessment form, edit it, next, and here if you see, now based on the form that I am filling, a next visit is getting scheduled. So this way we can write a simple visit scheduling logic which can schedule the next form based on a current form being filled. And so this concludes this tutorial. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any further queries, and stay with Avni.